Good evening, and welcome to Having a Drink with Mink. I'm your ghost, Jason Mink. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get into the Halloween spirit of things. You know, it's hard when you get older. It doesn't come as easily as when we were young. You know, back then, all you needed was, a plastic mask, peanuts on the TV, and maybe 18 pounds of sugar in a pillowcase. You were good to go. These days, it takes a little bit more. But I hope you have something on hand to help you enjoy the episode. We're going to get right to it because, as always, there is so very much to get to. As you can see, it's a phantasmagoria of little featurettes that we're going to touch on. But first, got to address that dry tongue. Right off the bat, I got to show you guys this. This is Skull, and he's my new best friend. Oh, yes, he is. Now, he is a member of the Rapid Deployment Force. Actually, I think technically he's the villain of the Rapid Deployment Force. Now, on the back, you can see various members of this particular crew, and out of all of them, well, he's the only guy dressed in black with a skull on his chest. Who does that remind you of, I ask you? Well, don't get Disney's lawyers on the phone, but we're going to check this guy out because when I saw him, I had to have him. I'm not one for military action figures, certainly not one for figures in this scale, but, I just knew that he and I would be best buds forever. So let's make that happen. I'm going to set him down right here. And got a new knife. We're going to check this guy out. Right now, we're going to see how he operates. Stabby Joe, where is he? Who can say? That's all right. We don't need you, Stabby. We got this guy now. And he's oh so effective. Open this box up pretty much effortlessly. That said, it is a very old box. But let's see what happens. First of all, we're going to pull this fella out. Here he is, like I said, his name is Skull, and, well, perhaps you can see why. It's because of that haircut, of course. Now, with the addition of the black bodysuit with the skull on it, it seems as though the company decided to hedge their bets and give him some red accessories here to kind of maybe downplay, what might otherwise be a rather obvious resemblance to a certain character that we will not name here. But he's got these red shin guards here. He's got these things on his arms, and he's got a belt right here. The big old triangle on it. But as you can see, he's pretty spiffy from his black boots all the way up to his rather stylish 1980s mustache. Oh yeah, mustache summer. He celebrated it, you can bet. Now we're going to take this little insert out. Take one last look at the box. It's your standard box, black and yellow, rather eye-catching. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it does give you an idea of what this toy is all about. And on the bottom here, this thing looks rather suspiciously like something you might buy in an adult bookstore, but the less said about that, the better. It's the Rapid Deployment Force. Don't be too rapid, be gentle with that thing. But what do we got right here? This is all his gear. Oh, no. Well, apparently the glue isn't all that it once was. This would appear to have come off. I don't know. Maybe this is an accessory unto itself. If I was a little kid, well, it sure would be. And who's to say that I'm not? Now, apparently the helmet that went in there disappeared. So I'll be back in 1 minute. Oh, dear God. What have I done? I knocked the calendar down. I'm wrecking the set in real time, folks. Okay, here it is. Here's the skull. It was worth it. I can put that up anytime. But we'll take this off, as effective as it was. And, maybe we'll wait. Actually, we'll put all the gear on him. And here he is, all kitted out of the package. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Skull? Oh yeah, look out, RDF, he's coming for you. Now, I thought he was pretty cool the way he was, to be honest with you. I like the fact that he, had that knockoff quality. But then when you put all this gear on him, it takes it to a whole nother level. All of a sudden we're in Canon Films territory, and that's fantastic. I looked at those other figures, and they're cool, but they're obviously just sort of G.I. Joe knockoffs, as you would expect. 12-inch figures on a basic plastic body with limited articulation, but somehow the design of this particular figure, really takes it over the top. He's a lot of fun, so let's look over, what all he came with now. He's got this helmet and sort of a RoboCop-esque Terminator kind of thing. It's got his trademark skull on it. That's his trademark skull. No one else's. His name is Skull. So he's got that going for him. He's got the red eye that allows him to, pick out his enemies as they scatter in the darkness. Now, I put on this harness. This thing was a bit of a trick. Actually, getting the whole thing out of the package was quite the experience because it was put in with those old-school wires, and there were a lot of them, but we managed without breaking it. And so he's got this kind of backpack thing going on attached to his gun here. I assume this is some sort of flamethrower, which is pretty major league, but I would expect nothing less from someone named Skull. Am I right? But that looks pretty good. Plugs in right there. Now, this is some sort of rocket launcher gun, but the rocket launcher, like the rocket itself, wouldn't stay on. So I just attached it with a bit of wire. I figure that's what Mom would have done back in the day, and then that way you can just kind of stick it right there in case this thing falls out of his hand, and it falls out of his hand a lot. As far as it goes, there is like a sweet spot, but it's not very sweet ultimately, and the hose always comes undone. So, yeah, as you can see, it's not necessarily, going to be like the most effective. This thing may come in handy more often than not, but, I figured I would equip him myself with a little bit something extra, so he's got a big honkin' knife because, well, Skull taught you everything you know, but he didn't teach you everything that he knows. You know what I'm saying? So he's definitely got some stealth capabilities. He'll stab you for sure. He ain't playing around. So as far as it goes, as far as knockoffs go, this guy, he was a delight. Absolutely. Like I said, his name is Skull, and he's my new best friend. Nothing personal, Naked Woody Harrelson. I see that he's certainly made the effort for this episode. It is Halloween right around the corner, don't you know? And he appears to be some sort of, mummy, I guess. As long as there's some toilet paper left in the morning, I guess I can't complain too much. Okay, so what's in the box? Oh, what's in the box? That's a great question. We're going to start off with a Honeycomb record. Honeycomb cereal back in the 1970s. On the back of the box as well, they put a few of these. They were records pressed into the cardboard. This is a little bit of sort of, I'm not sure, a vinyl overlay, a little bit of plastic or something on there, but if you were to cut this out to the dimensions of a 45, you could play it on your 45 RPM record player. And I know that I did. I thought that this sort of thing was fantastic as a kid, be it Scholastic books or the Mego Monsters, or even a free record on a Honeycomb, cereal box giveaway. I was all about it. We can actually listen to a little bit of that right now. Larry, if you will.
The noises, the visions, the winds were fearsome.
Ooh, pretty spooky stuff, huh, folks? So creepy. Makes you never want to eat a pre-sweetened cereal again, huh? Whoa! All right, next up, we have some old magazines, but not just any magazines. These are Eerie Pubs. What are Eerie Pubs, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. Our story begins with Myron Fass. A former freelance artist, Fass had illustrated his share of comics throughout the late 1940s and early 50s, turning his energies to the world of publishing after work in the field dried up due to the imposition of the Comics Code. After acquiring financial backing from William Harris, inventor of the Harris Press, Fass began to produce a variety of lowbrow magazines under the Tempest Publications banner. Tempest was quick to copy whatever was selling at the time, with Mad Magazine-style humor, hot rods, and pin-up girls all grist for the paper mill. In 1964, the unexpected success of Warren Publishing's Creepy Number 1 caught Fass's attention. Warren had sidestepped the pesky Comics Code by releasing their horror comics in a newsstand-only black-and-white magazine format. Impressed with Warren's success, Fass and new business partner Stanley R. Harris made plans for Tempest Publications' newest copycat. After recruiting fellow comics pro and publisher Robert W. Farrell to edit the new publication, Fass and Company cobbled together the first issue of Weird magazine. Made up almost entirely of reprints from Farrell's former venture, Ajax Comics, the 52-page quarterly magazine paralleled Creepy's black-and-white anthology format as closely as copyright law would allow, right down to the stories being introduced by a ghoulish, wisecracking host named Morris the Caretaker. If imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, then Jim Warren must have felt very flattered indeed. No stranger to the publishing game himself, Warren was already familiar with Fass. The two had sparred over usage of the name Eerie. Warren had won the copyright, but a spiteful Fass began issuing all of his horror titles under the banner Eerie Publications. Warren could only grin and bear it, content in the knowledge that at least his magazines sold better. And so we begin with Crime Does Not Pay. Now, this isn't one of those horror mags, but, well, it is pretty horrific when it comes right down to it. You know, the cover's showing you that crime does not, in fact, pay. I guess Myron Fass, well, he doesn't want the competition. This is a pretty gruesome scene happening here. And we're talking about John George Hay. He's London's bloody vampire, so I guess it shares some DNA with these mags. We also have Capone's Iron Fist and Sex, Syndicate style. So you won't want to miss that. And then we have some horror tales, and this is from June of 1969, and this is a 35-center, and as you can see, it would be a bit appealing. It was a little bit cheaper than those Warren magazines, and these lurid covers, well, they just drew you in. Next up, it's more horror tales. And this is from November of 1969, and it features the slime creatures, Werewolf, and Bury Her Deep. Here's another very moody horror tales, and I gotta say that this would definitely catch the eye on the newsstand. I really like that immersive purple. You know, really draws your attention to all this activity down here. Tombstone for a Ghoul. And then we have some Tales from the Tomb. Gruesome Shock, The Bloody Thing, and The Corpse Macabre. And then here's some more Tales from the Tomb. And this is an absolutely mind-blowing cover. These Eerie Pubs had a visceral quality that would just literally reach out and grab you by the neck. And you couldn't resist. It's the shocking terror of the killer creatures. Following that, it's Tales of Voodoo. And when it comes right down to it, I flip through here. It's not really Tales of Voodoo per se. You know, this is more a catch-all title for, I guess, the other stories that didn't fit in the different publications. We have Death Strikes 4, Harry, and The Dragon Egg. And then how can you go wrong but with more Tales of Voodoo, especially when you have a cover like this? Oh, no! Man, these Tinder dates never go well, do they? And then, in keeping with what I said earlier, well, there's really nothing voodoo-esque about this cover whatsoever. You know, unless it's like some kind of wild voodoo in space thing. Is it? And then we have some terror tales. And you could tell right off the bat, you don't even really need to see the rest of the magazine when it comes right down to it. You just see that, you know, you're in for a treat, and then boom! Oh yeah, heads in a jar, baby. Coming right at you. And this came out in March, you know, so I mean, it's just like they weren't really leaning towards any particular holiday or anything. This is what you got every month. There she is, chopped up on the table. Which one would you choose? Bachelors, let us know in the comment section below. And then there's some more terror tales. And this is spectacular. The colors just blow your mind, absolutely. If you were an acid eater back in, well, what was it, November of 1970, I could see you walking around this magazine in your hand with your eyes all bloodshot, freaking out and begging me for some orange juice. I don't have any, I'm afraid, but nonetheless, I do like the painting. I gotta wonder where all of these paintings ended up. I hope they're in some Rich Weirdo's collection, and, well, I hope that Rich Weirdo sees this video and invites me over, because I'd appreciate that kind of stuff. I really would. I'll bring liquor. And Skull, of course, he'll come. And then here's some witches' tales. And they're witching it up on the cover there with a decapitated fella. Oh, my. Holy smokes, they're going to replace his head with a blue guy. Hey, why not? These are progressive times. And then here's a very orange cover in keeping with the autumnal vibe happening right now. It's Witches' Tales, and you may notice that neither one of these people appear to be witches. One of them might not even be a people at all. We get a vampire and then some sort of anus-faced alien, but that's what you'll get in gut-clutching tales of weird horror. So, you know, you may want to have a couple Rolaids on hand, you know, something to settle your stomach. Pour yourself a glass of ginger ale, but you gotta let the bubbles evaporate. You know, people don't realize that. They drink it with the bubbles in it. It doesn't work. They're like, that doesn't work. You're doing it wrong. And then here's weird, terror, shock, suspense. Oh, yeah, you get all that for 35 cents. This is October 1966 issue, and I've always loved this cover. This is one of those covers that I initially saw on the internet, and I thought, I gotta find some of these magazines, and I only recently got myself a copy of this. It's weird. That's why they call it that. And then we have some more weird here. Oh, but it's not just weird. You also get your terror, your shock, your suspense, all that for 35 cents. You can't go wrong. Once again, there lurking at the bottom of the magazine rack was weird, just waiting to draw you in with its creepy pre-code reprints. And then on the back, well, if you had any change left, you may just want to get yourself a Batman full-color film projector. You know, I'm not saying they're sponsoring us, but, you know, make the check out to cash. And then here's some more weird. And we invite you into Werewolf's Castle, along with the ghoul and the guest, and corpses coast to coast. And the wonderful thing about these covers is the more you look at them, the more they make you think. When it comes right down to it, it's just like, sure, initially it seems fairly cut and dried, but I think there's a little more to this story than we're giving credit for. And then we have... Oh, wait. That seems creepy to be laughing ahead of time at this cover. Boy, oh boy, wow. This one punches you in the brain as far as it goes. This may be one of the most gruesome covers that Myron Fass was ever guilty of. It's told in new, chilling picto-fiction. So, I guess he was letting you know ahead of time, but death makes 3. We got the Skull Scavenger and Do You Dare Enter the House of Chills? I'll be there. And then in a cover that calls back to my working in food service days, well, here's a copy of Weird from September of 1969. And, that's pretty much how you made the donuts when it comes right down to it. This one features Fang Terror, Now I Lay Me Down to Die, and other weird tales beyond worlds. You know it. And because too much is never enough of a good thing, here is some more weird. And this one is a shocking horrorama featuring the hungry vampire. Is there really any other kind? Would the sated vampire really be a compelling tale? You also get the Mummy's Revenge and other strange tales you're not going to want to miss. No, sir. Check these guys out. How do you think they're going to split her up? Let us know in the comments section below. And then we're going to finish up with a couple issues of Weird Worlds. You bet, this is more of a sci-fi flavored publication, but nonetheless you get your horror in the form of the space vampires, the atomic monsters, and the green horror. Well, you're going to have to take their word for it. The magazine is in black and white, but, you've seen green before, right? And then we're going to cap things off with this issue of Weird Worlds featuring the Hungry Brain, the Space Spirits, and the Weird Robots. Whoa! Oh, apparently there's a party going on right there. Well, we're not going to dwell on that. We're going to move on. Thank you for joining us for this very special episode of Having a Drink with Mink. Like I said, we've gone weekly, so if you've enjoyed these weekly episodes, let us know in the comments section below. We're always trying to build group membership. We're always trying to build interaction. Any comment you'll leave, I'll respond to, no matter how snarky. So, go ahead, do your thing. I'm Jason Mink. So for myself, for Larry, for Skull, and Naked Woody Harrelson, cheers.